in concluding this first volume of Windows into the Greek New Testament, I want to spend a few videos on aids to learning the Greek language for those of you who are learning it, and most of us are still in the process of learning it. I have 4 things. These 4 things are fairly brief, but I want to make each one a separate video. The first was, this is a spiritual exercise bathed in prayer. The second was, let your motivation be to learn the Greek New Testament and learn it in a way that God so strikes your heart and uses you to minister to the lives of people who need the gospel and the law of the Lord and the Word of God in their lives. The third facet of learning the Greek New Testament is consistency. You can't cram and learn this stuff. You're going to have to get into the process of learning it every day. And whatever stage you are at in learning the Greek New Testament, you need to be able to be working at reading the Testament itself some every day. If you can only read one phrase, read that every day. And when you get to the place you can read an entire verse, read that every day. It is still within the range of beginning Greek to be able to read numbers of verses and learn your vocabulary as you do it. And I recommend that you read one verse every day. I remember going into a Greek reading class in seminary, and the classroom was full, which is a very unusual thing for an elective two-hour Greek reading class. And the Greek teacher, who happened to be Curtis Vaughan, the editor of 26 translations of the New Testament and other great books, came in and he looked around that classroom and said, all right, I've got one assignment for the next class. I want you to read the entire, I think it was the book of Colossians, maybe Philippians, one of those shorter books of Paul's. So I want you to read the whole book by the next class period. That was like on a Friday. We were going to have our next class meeting on Tuesday, and boy, that was a difficult assignment. And I prayed and I studied and I worked at it nearly 24 hours a day and managed to finish it and get it in. I went in there and there were about 10, maybe 15 students in the class then, and one of the students raised his hand and said, did you just assign that because you had too many students in here? And he said, yeah, there wasn't any way I could have taught that class. I didn't know what to do with that many, so I weeded you out a little bit. And sure enough, we had a smaller class to learn it. Well, that was not, actually it was very good for me. It was a very healthy thing for me, but I think it would have been a lot better for people at learning Greek is to do a little bit every day. I'm to the point, and have been for some years, that I carry a Greek New Testament with me everywhere I go. And I'll read a little bit from time. I'll read a little bit and then I'll pray about something every day. And my commitment is I read a chapter of the New Testament every day. But the next day I read the same chapter I read again until I've read it 3 days in a row, and then I skip on to the next. But however far advanced you are, I'm aware that sounds like a frightening thing. It would have to me not very many years ago. But read every day. If you just do a little bit, be consistent in what you do.